folks, it's Nessa here in Infinitely Zero's channel. So, welcome to my new and returning watchers and subscribers. Thanks so much for watching. Also, welcome to my members. Thank you so much for your continued support. And for those of you who are new to the channel, if you like the content, please, or even if you're not new, if you like the video, please click like or hype if you have that option. And also, if you like the content of my channel, please click like and subscribe. It's that join button below. It's free to subscribe. Or also, there's memberships, and I explain that, and it's not that expensive. But anyways, the subscription is free. And who's this little guy? That's my love cat that I recently made. I called him Spot. If you want, up here, there's a link in that corner to the video where I talk a little bit about him, not that much, but I was testing out the safety eyes and the tool, so I talk about that in that video. So I decided to make him, and he was the first love cat that I made. What is this pretty thing? Thank you so much. I'm gonna say it's pretty because I think it's pretty. Anyways, yeah, so I made this square. This is actually a 12-inch square. I will say the pattern for this square, it's the purple flower from Bag O' Day Crochet. I will put a link to her video tutorial for this pattern up here. Yes, beautiful, beautiful, really easy to follow pattern, great pattern, great tutorial too. I also have like the written pattern from her that I had bought where it had all the pattern files put together, compressed. So it's a smaller square. It came out to like 5 or 6 inches, something like that. So her pattern is up to this. It's all the flower plus this first row of white. I then added these different rows to make the square bigger, as well as the edging. So it's a combination of either, you know, granny stitch, which is 3 double crochet row, and then I alternated it with V-stitches, which is a double crochet with a chain 1 and double crochet. And then for the border, I did half double crochet in that purple color, and then the single crochet, but in the back loop only, so it gave it like that nice pretty frame. The yarn was Red Heart Super Saver yarn. I think this one was some Impeccable that I had gotten from an auction that was done for Joe Speakman, who had passed away. So this was her yarn, the purple. And yeah, this is Red Heart Super Saver. That's the Flower Power yarn. And this was leftover yarn that I had, the pink, which I think was like Bon Bon Classic or something like that. Oh no, this was Just Stripes, Just My Stripes from Lion Brand that I had some. I don't even know if they still make that yarn. So why this square? And you know what? I'm gonna show a bunch of other squares in this video. So about what this video is, I had decided to join a project which is a friendship square sort of community swap project for a blanket. So it was mentioned and hosted by Diana D, which here's a link up there to her channel. Diana D Loves Yarn. She goes live with Paula Mint as well, and Diana D. So anyways, they were the deadline's coming up, so it's a little too late to join, but maybe you can join if they decide to do this next year. And we were making squares for everyone who decided to join, so it's like 20 of us, more or less, and then we send them to her, and then she sends us different squares that everybody made for everybody. And I decided to make them different. This is one of my prettier squares where I actually cared about the colors. And I decided to make this video to show you guys. I don't know that I'll have time because I obviously did not weave in all the ends, and I'm about to go on a trip. So I don't know if I'll have enough time to like pack, weave in all my ends, and mail out my package. If not, it'll probably, and I already let them know, it'll probably be when I get back. So then it would be in like the beginning of March that I would mail it out. But anyways, so I'm also going to show 2 other squares that I made for a different project. I'll show those now and get those out of the way. So how about that? This one I made and I decided to keep because it's my first owl. So this pattern was from Jada and Stitches. I thought it was adorable. I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna use them for, but and that was also different scrapped yarn. This one's all made in Red Heart Super Saver yarn. This one's like the cherry red color. This is like pansy poly something. The darker green, and this is the buff colorway, and this is their bright yellow. So this is actually a pattern from Bag O' Day Crochet also. It's her video tutorial. I'll put the link up there. I also forgot to point out, but I'll put the link for Jada's pattern too. Anyways, this one is called the Wildflower Square. I think it came out really nice. This is what the back looks like. Like I said, I haven't woven in my ends. But anyways, and you can make it whatever different colors you want. I think in the tutorial she uses this beautiful shimmery purple yarn and another beautiful shimmery yarn, so I thought that looked really cool. And then some of these other stitches, I got the patterns from Madame in a Stitch. She was doing a granny square blanket crochet along where the squares were 12 inches, so I grabbed some of those patterns to make my squares with. It was free. She had one 2024 and she had one 2025. These patterns are from the 2025 one. I'll put a link to that webpage where she has the information about that blanket in the description box below. And some of the other patterns too, I'll mention them, is from the Halloween sampler blanket crochet along that Heart Hook Home was hosting. So yes, but I made it with a different yarn, so these aren't my Halloween squares, and I haven't had a chance to show those Halloween squares. And until yesterday, I then realized, oh, I could have used some of my maybe Halloween squares to put into this project, but I thought of it too late. So some of the patterns that I'm going to show here are from that, and I'll put the link below to that crochet along with those patterns that she has all there. She also did a holiday sampler one, so that one has few different squares. So if you're needing to find 12-inch squares, patterns for them, here are some ideas, right? I don't remember what all the squares each one are called, so sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Some of these were made with yarn that I had around. This is the Red Heart Super Saver all-in-one Grande yarn. I think this is Cat's Meow, so I'll mention the name when I can. So this was from that Madame Stitch. It's pretty. It's a lot prettier if it was in one color. I thought it was kind of cool to have it let the yarn do its own thing and change colors. And I kind of ended up playing Yarn Chicken here. This was the last square I was working on, and I ran out of yarn on that blue. Luckily I had some other skein of this, so I pulled the yellow, but I didn't feel like cutting up the whole skein just to finish it with blue. So there you go. So that's what that looked. Maybe if I stop moving it around you could see the square. There you go, so you can actually see it. This one was some scrap different pink yarns that I had here around in the house, and the center of the square is like one of those African flower squares. I got the pattern from the Granny Square card deck. It's one of the decks there, and then I just did my own thing and added different rows to make it bigger. So there you go. This one was one of the ones from Heart Hook Home. It's corner to corner, and you can tell it's the same yarn that Cat's Meow from the Red Heart Super Saver all-in-one Grande square. I did this one. I know the little flower got a little wonky. I guess a little more wonkier than I thought it did now that I look at it in the video. That yarn, that blue, yellow, and white, that square in the middle, that's Yarnspirations pattern. I'll put a link to that down below. That's their Flower Power. So this is their Flower Power yarn, yeah, that I had around. So that's You know, that's why it's kind of changing color, because I just let it change color whenever it decided to change color, or added and then tried to use another different blue that I had there laying around. This is also the same blanket as the, oh sorry, the same square as the other one for the cat's meow. It's just the colors finished differently on this one. Honestly, this one looks cooler, but there you go, right? This is also that same yarn, but done in a different pattern. Sorry if I move that. And this was from one of the squares patterns from the Madame Stitch Crochet Along. This is another where the middle is that all-in-one Flower Power Yarnspirations pattern, and then I just kind of did granny square stitches going around. Did my own thing to make the square bigger. Then I did V-stitches plus the cluster stitch, and I got that idea from one of the Madame Stitch squares. I think this one came out really pretty. I color controlled that one. And that was my second attempt. So this is another one that I made similar to that. Yeah, so my third attempt was the one that came out a little wonky because of where the color changed. Oh, I didn't know I did 2 of these. So I did 2 of these of that same pattern. So yeah, there are some repeats. I did this one. Part of that center was from some pattern I found, I think from that Madame Stitch again. And I wasn't happy really how this one laid out. The pattern had some errors in it. I modified it as best I could to make it into 12 inches, but that's what you get. And this was some yarn that I had here. Oh, I must mention this, the squares, the yarn used in this square, and I believe this square, now that I have them out of order, or maybe it was this darker blue, was from Joe, from the little bit that was left over from one of the projects that I finished for her, which then gifted the scarf to Paula Mint. So yeah, so that's from these. I think it's in this one mostly, but anyways, or this one, because I think that's what was changing the colors in there. This was from Herrschners Halloween Sparkle Yarn. I think the Celebrate one. I can't remember the colorway name exactly off the top of my head, but this is that Heart Hook Home, the corner to corner square. This is the Brick Stitch from that same yarn. Whoops. Oops. There we go. Oh, I guess it wants to be a curly end and not cooperate on video. How about if I hold it from there? There we go. Nope. Then the other anyways, this one would do well with a border. Or once it's joined. May need some blocking. And here's the second square like that. And of course, it looks like they like to have that up curl there. I don't know what's going on with that. That was the Brick Stitch. This was the Moss Stitch done in the round, which I think looks really cool in that same yarn. And that's the wrong side. This is the right side. That's why you see that yarn thread hanging out there from the beginning. So I think that looked really cool. And this is what that Granny Square Cat's Meow all-in-one yarn is supposed to look like if you actually follow their pattern and directions of what the yarn was intended to make. So, but I was deciding out of the box because I didn't want to do all the squares like this. So hopefully some of you will like the creativity of my, you know, letting the yarn flow, the color go as you go. So yeah, that's the same. This was a different pattern from Madame Stitch, also with the red heart all-in-one, like the Flower Power yarn. These were the ones from the Color Mystery, from that mystery box. So depends which way you hold it is how the square looks. Isn't that cool? And that was one of the patterns from the Madame Stitch, and this is another square of that you know, moss stitch, but center out. Oh, I have one more thing to show you guys in the video. So I had bought these for my aunt. I got them on Amazon. They were eyes, safety eyes, but with sparkles. They had different sizes in this pack. This was the blue pack. So what works, in case you guys haven't used this before, is they come with the glitter part. So, and that was a double glitter. They come with the glitter part, and you put that behind here, so then the eye glitters. That's what Spot has on. And yeah, and then you put the washer in the back to make sure it stays in place. And again, don't put this if it's for kids or someone that might pull out the eyeballs and swallow them and choke like pets. So yeah, even though they're called safety eyes, don't use them for safety. So yeah, it had this bigger size, which is the fuchsia. These pretty green sized ones. Little blue. Sparkles. And, oh, these are noses. Noses, they're like little triangles, like for teddy bears. Yeah, I don't think you can see that real well in the video through the bag. Noses. I guess he could have had that type of nose, but I didn't give him that type of nose. Last but not least, they had little, I guess just these little extra bonus. I don't know. I think these are little noses. I'm not sure. Oh, different size noses. Yeah, because these are medium ones. These are medium noses and these are big noses. I did not realize this came with noses. That is cool. And yellow eyes. Yellow, glittery, golden eyes. So, okay, folks. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye.